How old were you when you watched your first horror movie? For me, my dad made sure I saw all the classics. Movies like Poltergeist or The Blair Witch Project kept me up at night from an age as early as 9 years old. However, this exposure gave me an early, thick skin when it came to the horror genre. While this opened up the doors to comfortably watch many more popular horror movies, it also led to a lot of disappointments. Movies such as Psycho would be shown to me, and even at 7 years old, I would dismissively meh at them. I think my dad's biggest disappointment was Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, known for being one of the most effective horror movies of its time and holding up really well even to today's standards. I think a lot of the fear that comes from watching The Shining as an adult stems from the parts of the movie that feel more realistic. What if I was snowed in and isolated? What if someone I loved went insane and attacked me? What if I was forced to defend myself against someone I care deeply for? These hypotheticals don't manifest easily in the mind of a child. Children typically extract fear from imagery, especially if it's not something they've seen before. A tidal wave of blood, twin ghost girls down the corridor, creepy writing on the walls. These are all tropes that even at my young age had already become somewhat forgettable to me. Desensitized children aren't going to be scared by gore or hypothetical what-ifs that they have no context for. The effectiveness of creepy imagery and things that go bump in the night is even more fleeting. But there was one scene, well, more like one shot, that stuck with me when the credits rolled after my first viewing of The Shining, and I never forgot. Shelley Duvall creeps up the stairs, unknowable noises and chanting surrounding her. This scene is not known for its quiet horror. Upon reaching the top of the stairs, we can see something through the bedroom door, but can't make it out. Then, suddenly, the camera viciously zooms in on our two characters, aggressively planting them in our full view, yet this does nothing to bring relief to the confusion. The characters she sees don't look hostile or even scary, but just irritated, as if Shelley's presence was a surprise and an act of rudeness she cannot understand. Devoid of gore or danger to the characters or even relevance to the overall plot, the infamous bear costume haunts not just me. When looking for the scene in question, I searched The Shining Lion into YouTube. I used to think this was supposed to be a lion costume, not a bear. And lo and behold, it was the very first result. The comment section filled with people claiming it to be the scariest scene in the whole movie. The bear shot conveys a deeper, more instinctual fear than the spooks of the movie. It begs the question, why? Ghost girls and crazed axemen are expected par for the course for the horror genre. What I think is not expected is this uncomfortable, unknowable glimpse into two characters who have never been alluded to and will never be mentioned again. Furthermore, there is an underlying knowledge that this movie is not random, but an intentionally written and created piece of work. Stanley Kubrick wrote this shot, instructed set and costume designers to construct it, and then included it in the movie, for reasons we can never know or fully understand. As I watched this for the first time, my mind filled with the potential traumas Kubrick may have undergone in his younger life. Perhaps when he wrote this scene in the script, he was thinking of a time when he walked in on his parents having fun. Young, confused, and unable to comprehend what he was looking at, but with the overbearing impression that he saw something he should not have. It is an experience that would haunt any child. Maybe it was akin to a nightmare Kubrick once had, all with the nonsense and confusion which nightmares typically use to torture their victims. Some have theorized that the power dynamic evident between these two characters symbolizes the abuse of Danny, using several other points in the movie to back up this theory. Of course, true fans of The Shining will point out the subplot of Stephen King's original book, The Shining, in which a man is forced to wear a dog costume to a party just so a wealthier man can feel the pleasure of exercising his control over another human being. These two characters in the movie are representing the ghosts of those two original characters. However, the reason Kubrick decided to reference these characters in this way at this time, and the reason he changed the dog costume to a bear costume, is something on which he has never commented, and we will probably never know the true reason for this. It's pretty common for artists to refuse to comment on the meaning of their art. Doing so can stifle or diminish or even destroy the debate and the audience's ability to interpret the art for themselves. However, a much rarer treat is an artist who weaponizes their audience's lack of understanding to create a deep-seated discomfort. One of my favorite examples is the fascinating web series Petscop. I am far from the first person to enthuse about this fictional Let's Play. Our hero, Paul, records himself playing an old PlayStation game he found, discovering the mysteries and wondering alongside the audience what exists within. Going to the first video and looking at the comments shows that the show had the exact impact the creator was likely hoping for: complete immersion. Comment after comment demonstrates people showing avid interest in the game, completely unaware that they hadn't just watched actual footage of a long-lost PlayStation game, but in fact a carefully orchestrated and scripted performance designed to trick the audience into entering the fictional world of the artist. Paul serves as the audience's companion, experiencing the game's mysteries and various confusions at the same time we do, right up until the 7th video. Within Petscop, Paul finds what is often interpreted as his own real-life bedroom, and on the bedside table we see a big black box. This sensor box represents a significant shift in the power dynamic between the artist and the audience. No longer are we experiencing this game alongside Paul, but piecing together the story from what we are allowed to see. There's a significant fear, a paranoia that Petscop instills by ensuring we know we are not being shown everything. Being denied the deepest secrets of the game while being made painfully aware that these secrets do exist. Throughout the series, we bear witness to more and more censorships, unexplained scenes, and insufficient explanations designed to dangle the truth in front of us, locking Pandora's box because they know that no matter how dark the truth is, no matter how dire the consequences of discovering this truth, we have to find out. We go through so many lengths to relieve the tension, the horror of the unknown. Even the creator of Petscop wears the mask of anonymity, neglecting any online presence, never breaking character, and never discussing his art. While we can speculate on The Shining or interrogate Kubrick for his intention behind the infamous bear costume, the person who made Petscop deliberately chose to remain anonymous and completely non-communicative. Throughout the airing of the web series, there was absolutely no information on the creator or creators of the series or their artistic intentions. In fact, there wasn't even definitive proof the series was fiction at all. A mysterious, convoluted plot hinting at a darker story visible only in glimpses, like the obscured face of a monster hiding in the shadows, forcing our imagination to writhe with the possibilities of what could be and struggle without the release of the knowledge. Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation has no shortage of mysteries to fear. The main character, Lena, is the only named character in the book. She's part of an expedition to explore the enigmatic Area X, where a variety of unnerving phenomena have taken residence. Lena has been given a variety of bizarre safety instructions before exploring into Area X. Her fellow engineers are known only as the psychologist or the anthropologist. As Lena is told, names are forbidden within Area X, but not told why. It's not the result of a fascist or oppressive government, or some vague, he who shall not be named type of magic, just an unexplained phenomenon for which our main character is forced to take extremely seriously. Watches and compasses are forbidden, firearms are permitted, but only vintage ones, nothing modern. However, I think the most memorable warning she has issued pertains to her measuring device. A small rectangle of black metal with a small hole in the middle. If the hole glowed red, they would have 30 minutes to remove themselves to a safe place. They were not told what the device measured or why they should be afraid should it glow red. That device captured my attention throughout many parts of the book, despite almost never being mentioned again. Very minor spoiler alert. Far into the story, when this creepy black box still has not revealed its purpose, Lena thoroughly investigates it, taking it apart to find that the box is merely a placebo. It measures nothing and never served any purpose or value at all. While reading this, my desperation to know the purpose behind that box enthralled me so deeply, I had never even stopped to consider that by finally getting my questions answered, I would only be met with a deeper and more discomforting feeling than I had ever felt to begin with. I was left wondering why this box was given to Lena in the first place, and if the answer to that question would offer me any relief from this confusion or just dig me even deeper. The measuring box has no fangs or claws, no malicious intent at all, and yet it strikes with a much more precise yet grandiose attack. The concept that you are but a cog in the machine, a pawn in the game, a game to which you are completely unable to remove yourself or even understand. That box symbolizes this concept upgrading from just a feeling to a certainty. However, I don't think there is a more chilling representation of the fear of the unknown than what could be found right here on this site. Back in the cat video era of YouTube, no one posted videos to make money or become famous. Video essays were all but non-existent. Therefore, any video posted to the site would have done so only to fulfill a desire to share something funny or interesting. To me, this is what makes some of the early creepy videos so skin-crawling. See, Petscop can hide behind the veil of reasonable doubt. Even though there's no definitive proof that some guy didn't actually find a creepy abandoned PS1 game used to uncover a murder, it's easy to assume that this video series was made for the purpose of simply sharing an art project. However, the origins behind the classic creepy videos such as I Feel Fantastic are completely unknowable. I mean, what is this? Was it always supposed to be creepy? Did it start out as some kind of animatronic and then just turn out creepy? Why did the creator never speak about this work? Why is there a random shot of the garden in the middle of the video? Who made this? The setting in of the feeling that these questions will never be answered makes this video feel so much more unreachable, so much more potentially real. And yet, I Feel Fantastic isn't even the most unsettling video I've found on this site. While there are plenty of channels which do a convincing job of giving us a window into an unhinged or insane person, I can't think of a single example that comes even halfway as close as Benjamin Bennett's Sitting and Smiling series. While most horror vlog channels like Dad or Alan Tutorial are only a few minutes long, Benjamin's series features one thing and one thing only. Benjamin sits down in front of his camera in a usually featureless room, stares at the lens, and smiles a wide, creepy grin. That is it. Every video is 4 hours long. The playlist is 307 videos long. Most of them have almost no views, just enough for people to click through each one randomly and ensure that the footage isn't repeating, that there isn't a still image, there are no cuts. Benjamin is actually just sitting here, not using any clever editing tricks to make it look like he sat there for 4 hours, nearly motionless. Benjamin took pains to ensure we knew he sat there for every single second the web series implies. Where most of us would normally break under the strain of making even a single one of these videos, Benjamin has made hundreds. There are a few highlights in the series, and the fans of it have dedicated themselves to finding points of interest within this sea of unwatchable content. At one point, Benjamin wets himself. At another, the door behind Ben is opened by a supposed burglar. Benjamin does not turn around. This burglar is so discomforted by what he sees, he closes the door and simply retreats from the house. Wouldn't you? I have not watched all of Sitting and Smiling, nor will I ever, but just knowing that it exists, and knowing that I will never fully be able to understand why it exists, or how anyone could stand to subject themselves to the torment of making content like this, is enough to make me feel like I'm the one being tormented. Reportedly, Kubrick had extremely high standards for the performance of his actors. Most notoriously, he demanded Shelley Duvall repeat the scene where she retreats upstairs exactly 127 times. It was so frustrating and maddening an experience that by the time Kubrick had gotten the take we see in the movie, Shelley's tears are no longer just for the camera. By forcing his cast through this brutal endurance test, we can see Kubrick's almost Moby Dick-like obsession with creating a piece of art that will truly be scary enough to be remembered. His motivation is clear. Shortly after Petscop concluded, the creator revealed himself on Twitter, apologizing for some of the more controversial symbolism of the series. While he is still tight-lipped about the series and its meanings, it does damage the air of authenticity that the series had built for itself. Artistic interpretations of the work reveal that through layers of mysterious writing, a story about child abuse manifests. And the nature of the creator's comments confirm this. Petscop 2 has a clear motivation and a clear message. Sitting and Smiling, however? Sitting and Smiling has no actors to torment, no explanation for its existence. I'm sure there are interpretations, explanations, and theories to be found, but ultimately none of those can answer the great unknown in my head, the great whys. Why would you subject yourself to this? Why subject us to it? Why can't I get this out of my head? These questions will never be answered, and therein lies the core, the heart of the fear of the unknown, is the fear that it will remain forever unknown.